Ooh, ooh. Episode 253. Today what we are going to be talking about is Twitter officially dying a few days ago and X taking its place. This is an interesting thing that uh an interesting conundrum that gets mentioned, do we embrace tradition or do we reject it and embrace something new and progressive? Now, I typically, when it comes to branding, right? I typically am for experimentation and change and new things. I've even been considering rebranding this podcast. So, but I ended up not rebranding it because I was like, all right, well, the name is a household name. It doesn't make sense to rebrand it. And if I did rebrand it, what would I call it, right? And it's just, I don't know. I think Backpacking America is just a wholesome name. Also, considering Backpacking America right here, I got my Backpacking America merch on right here. I don't know if you guys could see it, but actually, you guys on Spotify and Apple Podcasts can't see it, but YouTube and Twitch and Facebook can see it. If you want Backpacking America merch, go into the link tree and on my Instagram, or go into the link on your podcast player and click shop, and it should take you to my page. Anyway, but when it comes to branding, right? Uh, I'm not like a fan of rebranding unless you have like a strategy to rebrand. Twitter, it just rebranded. We knew it was coming when Elon Musk took down the Twitter logo and put up the X logo, but it was done very haphazardly where there was no there's a culture already built into Twitter. It will always be known as Twitter. I mean, tweeting, retweeting, uh, you know, Twitter was like the spot. It has its own unique culture, its own type of audience, its own type of content that is accepted there. And I'm okay with, new things happening, changes, rebranding, but the way it was done was really poor. It just kind of forced change on the user rather than creating change with the user. So the logo was just changed. Everyone liked the bird. Everyone was like, well, where the fuck is Twitter? Did Twitter get uninstalled on my phone? And they just see this big stupid X. What is X? What does that have to do with anything? Why is it called X? What is the point of it? What does X mean? Tweeting was like, oh, like, you're tweeting. Tweets are short and concise and they get a message across to other birds. Tweet, 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 because Twitter originally was 140 characters and you tweeted it. Like, that's my little tweet, tweet. X, it's like, instead of tweeting, it's post, posting, reposting. What is X? Like, there's no culture or reason for behind the name. Elon Musk barely even elaborated on it. And, I get the guy, like, he has unique concepts, and anything he invests in usually works out well. He actually got to start with PayPal, and PayPal is one of the biggest companies in the world. One of the biggest transactional companies in the world, excuse me. It was the inspiration for Venmo and Cash App and Zelle and all these other things, right? But when it comes down to um, you know, success, right? He's very successful. Even with SpaceX and uh Tesla and all these other companies. Very successful man. Excuse me, I'm a little congested today. Very successful man. But he when it comes down to this X thing, I know what was Twitter and is now X will be successful. But there's no for the user it's just uncomfortable. With all these other things like SpaceX and Tesla, they were just brand new concepts that were dropped, right? They were just brand new things that just appeared out in the wild and became wild successes overnight. Um, but this is taking something. This is a society, right? You know, not denizens, digital citizenship, right? If you have a Twitter account, you're a digital citizen of Twitter. That would be like taking the United States of America, right? And calling it X. And then instead of having, freedom of speech, you had freedom of or freedom to post. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, no one knows what that is. What does it mean to post? What does it mean to repost? why is it called X? These are like no one knows what the fuck the brand is. People are still calling it Twitter. People are still calling it tweeting and all this because the culture is this is Twitter, this is tweeting, this is retweeting. It's branding, right? When you rebrand something, you need a strategy, you need a plan. You can't just go in there and raw dog change and just expect people to be like, "Oh, we're posting on Twitter." No, that's stupid. And for Elon Musk, this is actually a very non-creative solution to a problem that Twitter did have where, you know, it became the mainstream. Twitter became the mainstream. Elon Musk is trying to rebrand Twitter as not the mainstream, as something where it's a more creative, unrestricted space, which to some degree he has done, but he still keeps the fact checking. He still keeps banning accounts that say offensive things. So it's kind of like it's better than it was in the past under Jack Dorsey, but it's still concerning. There are I believe 15 former FBI agents that still work at Twitter. So it's not like Elon Musk is permanently rooting out the deep state from Twitter. Now, Facebook does have more, you know, intelligence agencies, former intelligence officers working at its headquarters, has over 120. But still, even if you had one, that's still a concern. Um, Elon Musk is ultimately better for free speech for the platform, but it's like, you know, here's evil light, and then here's Elon Musk is evil light. Um, I'm not a fan of that. So like his whole thing is like, yeah, we're gonna change it and be more creative, but then he takes like he still has all this old infrastructure from Twitter in the first place. And then he was making like he was trying to push it in a direction where it was a more positive change, like more free, more open. And then he does something very bland with the rebranding. He doesn't call it, the uncaged bird. He doesn't call it, free fly. He doesn't call it, um, uh, free Twitter. I don't know. He doesn't, like, play off the culture that already exists with it. Or at least if he was gonna create X, he doesn't, like, go into a story about what X means and what I mean, he didn't even call instead of tweeting, coulda called it Xing or creating or, um you know, inspiring. I mean, his whole thing was inspiration, freedom, creativity. He called tweeting, um, creating, inspiring, and then had it like rotate each time you hit tweet or post or whatever the fuck it is now. You know, it could have been inspiring 1 second, then creating the next second, and then moving the next second. He could have made it like a revolving thing where it was always something positive, where it puts something in the mind of the creator to be like, always remember that you're doing this and that. You're not just writing a thought. You're creating something. It has importance, which is like the whole point of why he took Twitter over is to almost rebuild, that human ingenuity, but on the internet. I was very disappointed when he opted for posting, when he didn't elaborate on the brand's name, why the brand was what it was supposed to be, and it was just sad. It's like, this is the guy that created Tesla and SpaceX and has these grandiose plans for sending people to Mars. And he completely dropped the bag on the rebranding, and that's why rebranding is also a dangerous concept because you need a strategy behind it. Rebranding can be organic. It can have a story behind it. Or you could do what Elon Musk did and just fucking rebrand it, and then it's like, "Oh, well, that sucks, like, I kinda like the old brand." Rebranding, with Elon Musk, it should have been a story that he told on his account, or he should have made an X account and then went on into creating like this kind of like I could see him like creating like this typecasted play where it was like, you know, and X is moving to do this and that, and then this and that, and like telling a story with the accounts, and then, or at least just writing out like a big thing as to what it means for X, like why X, and what does it mean for you as a user of this platform to move from Twitter into this new form. He could have taken it like a complete Star Trek approach. He could have taken it in like a one small step for man, one giant step for tweet kind or what Twitter kind or whatever, and merge the two cultures together with this new culture he wants to create and this old culture and merge them together, but he didn't do it. He rebranded ineffectively. Everyone was making fun of it. Everyone was making fun of X. No one knows what the hell X is. People are still, myself included, calling it Twitter. You know, when you say Twitter, you know that that they're talking about that new bullshit called X. I see that shit pop up on my phone, getting notifications. I'm like, what the hell is this? Oh, that's Twitter. Like there's no he just changed the logo and he changed the name and he just changed what it means to post and to from tweet and retweet to post and repost. That's all he did, rebranding wise. And no one knows what the fuck it is. Tweeting I got. It's a tweet. It's short and concise. Now it ended up getting elongated and elongated and elongated to where maybe a rebranding was necessary. They could have called it something else, but Twitter just ended up, it has its own thing. Twitter is known as the toxic platform where everyone hates on each other and, the crazy shit goes down. You're going to see up to date, beef between world leaders on Twitter. You're going to see the worst elements of society on Twitter. You are going to see countries collapse in real time on Twitter. You are gonna know if a nuclear missile is heading your way because of Twitter. And TikTok started to really take away from that because TikTok was like uncensored and just straight up like I saw the riots in Paris like for hours on TikTok. Twitter, but Twitter was like the original, especially when Black Lives Matter in 2020 happened. That's where you went for information. That's where you went to find out what was going on in your city and around the country. That's where you went. Um, During the Trump era, Twitter was the big boy because Trump was tweeting. That he is the only reason I got a Twitter account because I got rid of my old Twitter account years ago. And then I was like, yo, Trump is tweeting. This is the most I couldn't even believe what he was tweeting. So I had to make a new account to see what he was doing. Twitter has its own culture that's evolved over time and became what it is today, mostly because of the Trump era. And for Elon Musk to rebrand it, he needed to fill those shoes. He needed to create something that could compete with that image. And he just didn't. He honest to God, it may be too soon to tell, but it feels like Twitter's just kind of like his little hobby and there's a whole community around it. Now, I'm not someone that's really terminally online, but this is just something that I was like, this is actually really dumb from a business standpoint. And I figured I could weigh in on because I own a business that I considered rebranding. And once you have name recognition, you don't want to change it that suddenly. Like you want to lead up to it slowly. Like if I was gonna rebrand my show, right? And call it the Anthony Barone podcast. I would be promoting it for a month. Every day there would be a post being like, on this date, we are changing our name. I would say it 3 times an episode. I would post it multiple times a day on my Instagram and my Facebook. I'd put it on Snapchat that we are rebranding on this date to this name, you know? And then I would rebrand it, and I'd have, like, a big thing that showed a shift over into the rebrand, like, he coulda made it this big celebratory cool thing that whenever you open the app, it was like, "Yo, Twitter will be leaving us and we will become X. Here's what it means to become an Xer or an existentialist," or whatever the fuck denominatum he wanted to call someone that uses the app. But no, he didn't do that. He just fucking changed it. I could have rebranded that app and it would have been the coolest fucking thing in the world. Wow, X, that's so sleek and cool. Elon, I feel, got a little cocky because he's like, oh, I made Tesla and I made SpaceX. So everyone's going to know this is supposed to be like a sleek new thing that's going to be cool. And, I don't need to put that much work into it. Dude, I don't even know what the fuck it is. I have no idea what the fuck it is. And if that's the marketing strategy, it's really dumb because you can create a wow, what is this or what the fuck is this type of marketing with actual planning. Like Blair Witch. No one knew what the fuck that movie was about when it came out. Like the marketing for it was so weird. Like everyone was like, "Well, what does that mean? What does it mean?" Or that movie, I think it was Apollo 14. Like the marketing for that was so like we don't know really what this movie is about, but they had like websites that would magically drop and they had posters that would show like little snippets of the movie that no one really knew what the hell it was. and it just made you like, "What the fuck is this?" But it was like you were curious about it. This is just kind of like, I'm curious about it, but mostly because I'm angry about it, because I have no idea what this is. That is the major reason why I really detest, this rebranding. I'm not curious about it because I'm like, "Whoa, what is that?" Like, that's curious. I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" Because there was no explanation to it. I didn't know when it was gonna happen. I don't know why it's happening. It's not like this new thing. It's literally taking an old thing and just slapping a new coat of paint on it. That's really what this rebranding is. There's no culture to it. There's no shift in a mission statement. There's no explanation to the user. There's no hint for us to even go off of. It's just weird. Now, I can see maybe just from like looking at Elon Musk, maybe it's like, "Oh, it's whatever you want it to be." It could be whatever you want it to be. That's up to you guys to fill in the brand. I'm just changing the paint, the coat, and the color of the paint. That's up to you, buddy. I'm like, now that could be him, but he should also say that too because it's his brand, and you can't just like you can't just do that to a group of people because you're risking losing users, and it's not really a business savvy approach. I understand the approach that he's taking. I just really don't appreciate it. But then again, that's probably why I don't own a $44 billion company. So who am I to say, right? But for me, if I was ever going to rebrand Twitter, I would have had like a whole countdown to the rebranding date. I would have made a new account called X, and it would have talked about what the website's about, and what the aim of the new company is, and the mission statement, and all these great things. And he didn't do that. He just kind of changed it. So I would have done so many different things. I would have actually tried to create a new culture or blend the two cultures together. He decided to just do that. I really think it was a dumb business move. And as a user, it feels really dumb because it's like it's still Twitter, and you're like, it's almost like an occupying army saying like, "This is not the France, this is Germany," and then you're over here as a French person being like, "Oui, oui, mon ami, this is France. They put the fucking swastika above my house, but it's still France. Let's have wine." It's like the culture still exists. It's just got, like, a different coat of paint on it, and, like, a different flag. He didn't do anything to change the culture. He didn't do anything to make it new or something exciting that people would have, enjoyed. Um, it's just X, and it's garbage because there's no explanation to it. Of course, that's to say, like, I could be creative enough and assign my own meaning to it, but you're the business owner. You're the guy that's pushing for all this new creative stuff. What does it mean to X? Is it even called X? I mean, this is the guy that named his kid a math equation, you know? I mean, I'm not expecting like a normal person answer from this. I know the guy's neurotypical, but like um or neurodivergent, excuse me. The guy is autism. I mean, like literally like I I don't know what the fuck, he's got his own perceptions going on, and I think, he has like a lot of cool ideas. It's just like he also has people that aren't like him, so maybe they could have, like, explained it more. Because I really don't know yet what this is about, and it's really pissing me off that, like, he rebranded something like this because other people are involved, other creatives are involved, and, like, if my business was really, like, this podcast does have a Twitter account, I just really don't use it. Um, if I had a business and I was on Twitter, right, I'd be like, do I tell people I'm on X? Is that what I tell people? What does X mean? Like, if I told a client, like, "Yeah, and we post on X," and they were, like, in their 50s, they're like, "What the fuck is X?" And it's like, "Oh, it used to be Twitter." "Oh, why is it called X?" "Oh, I don't really, they just rebranded." "But why?" I wouldn't even have a fucking answer for them. I would have no fucking answer for them. That's what bothers me. It's because it's not just like I understand like it's yours now and it's like your thing, but also like you have this whole pay to play scheme, this whole thing to appeal to content creators and businesses and stuff, and now you just randomly change the name without any idea or explanation. Like how am I as a marketing person? Like say I'm a marketing person, right? How am I supposed to market fucking X to a 55-year-old business owner? Like what the, like dude, you have to understand too like you're not just creating like a new company with its own culture. It's one thing if you like shut down Twitter and then like you came up with like your own social media that you announced. It's called X, and then like you had a pre-assigned culture to it, like you did with Tesla or SpaceX. But like with X, I mean, like the like rebranding it like that was just so. It was just such a shitty business move. Like I wouldn't even know how to market that to someone or tell someone where to find me. Like, I'd feel so gay saying to someone, "Yeah, can you just like follow me on X?" Like, what the fuck is that? Like, that's no. Anyway, thank you again for listening to episode 253 of Backpack America. I will be back here again at 6 p.m. to talk about more topics. I just missed yesterday's episode because I was very tired. I was shooting a wedding over the weekend. That was a great time. Um, It was actually on a yacht in Manhattan. That was a lot of fun, but I was very exhausted yesterday, so I just had to rest a little bit. Anyway, thanks again for listening, and